I did have one tiny one that I turned in.
We talking about food?
Tomatoes, yeah.
Oh,
but-
tomatoes.
You have to keep spraying seven here.
You ready, Clint?
What? Yes, we do. Oh, I was mad.
I've had coons get on my bird feeder and they've been, on the camera, they've been tearing it up.
Right. Pick 'em up. They're not- that wouldn't have to be as big as a corn.
We're ready.
Oh,
We're ready. We're not at 5:30 yet.
that she said it's. Oh, yeah.
That clock's wrong.
They're getting the squirrels and the deer.
That's 5:30.
Crazy.
32.
That's what I said.
This one says 5:30.
I said I was there, don't worry, but
Oh, you were.
it was long. It was
Okay,
good.
Glenda's gonna lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome to August meeting of Calvert City Council. We got a relatively full agenda for tonight. And so I would take a recommendation regarding last month's minutes, if somebody's so inclined.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Got a first and a second. All in favor, aye. Opposed? Thank you for that. Okay.
Mayor, before you get into the meeting, I'd like to say something in praise of our police department.
Well, praise is always welcome, Ms. Faust.
I am probably praising the police department, especially Chief Cannon and Captain Babcock. Thursday afternoon, my sister and I went to lunch and Cracker Barrel and came back. And she was coming into my house and we were just sitting around gossiping about it. And she slipped as she got out of the car. I may start crying before I finish this. She slipped as she got out of the car and fell underneath it and it started rolling backward on her.
Oh, my.
I had already gotten out on the passenger side. I ran and jumped over her into her car and slammed the brake. And I got it stopped before it got to her chest and head, because that's what I was scared of. It rolled over her lower extremities and up her hip. I called 911 just as soon as I could get the car off of her. I've managed to get it off. I was not lifting. I had to drive it off of her. It just rolled once and it went off of her. And I called 911 and within minutes, call for an ambulance. Within minutes, the chief and Captain Babcock were in my driveway to lend whatever support they could. And I want to praise them highly. They were wonderful and I'm so thankful for them. Because she could have been killed. Yes. Is she okay? She's sore, but she managed to go to Walmart with me yesterday.
Oh, she could make the Walmart trip.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a very traumatic afternoon for you. And I'm glad that the chief was there and we do have a fine police department. And I appreciate you saying something about it. Every day, there's something going on. Well, hopefully not every day, but commonly that's what we have out of our first responders and really appreciate you taking the time they were there and made your day a little bit easier. So.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. We have some visitors this evening. Hope I get this correct. The Center for Integrative Environmental Health Sciences. Did I get that correct? Okay. All right. Now we've talked about that a little bit in the council chambers, and there was a meeting in Grand Rivers, I think, in May, and then we talked about it a little bit here, and we've had a follow-up meeting with some members here discuss with Dan and Bobby and myself about utilities. So we've got Dr. Smith, Dr. Cave, Miss Reynolds, and I'm sorry, Colette, I don't remember your last name. Courtney, who's a student, and do you have someone else with you, or? Okay. And you're with the center too? Okay. All right. Okay. So they would like to make a presentation to us, and I don't know really who's going to present, but it kind of explained further some of the things that have been asked of Calvert City Utilities.
Great. Thank you so much, Mayor, for making a little room on the agenda. Ben, can you hear me okay? All right. So my name is Ted Smith. I'm a professor of environmental medicine at the University of Louisville School of Medicine. And I'm, as the mayor said, affiliated with the Center for Integrative Environmental Health Sciences. That's a group at the University of Louisville that, as the name suggests, is very focused on environmental health. I appreciate the opportunity to come and visit with you, and I hope either clear the air or just further explain and communicate what's going on and what has gone on, and I guess I hope what will go on. So let me just give you a sort of a quick recap so we're all working with the same information. So as I mentioned, my focus is on environmental health. My professional focus is working on new platforms to help us understand community health. And one area of interest that I think you've all had a chance to discuss is looking at community sewage to find signals of health risk. You can probably imagine that during the COVID pandemic, that was a remarkably important thing to do. And my team across the state of Kentucky was helpful with hospitals, with nursing homes, and with prisons in helping them prepare for various waves of the pandemic, as we were able to see it in sewage weeks before we would see it clinically. So it's a powerful tool during the pandemic. Today, the state, in conjunction with the CDC, operates a program where they've expanded that panel to look for seasonal flu, RSV, and now measles, as these come in and out of our communities here in Kentucky. I'm proud to say that Kentucky has been a pioneer in this field. I was in a meeting in Houston last week where I think we maybe knew the most about this field from everybody around the country that was assembled there. So it's something I think we should all be proud of, and it's a capability that we work every day to make better. So just to give you an illustration of sort of how we're moving that work forward, this fall, for our largest school district in Kentucky, we will roll out a notification system that will predict attendance in high schools 1 week before, before the events occur. So I'll be monitoring seasonal flu, and I'll be able to predict with 78% accuracy at this point in time what attendance will look like in that school next week. And so that can help administrators, it can help parents think about their own strategies for keeping the kids healthy. And so we'll just keep working on that. We have another pilot project looking at colorectal cancer, which in the United States is an epidemic right now. Younger and younger people are being diagnosed with this very aggressive disease. And once again, we can look in sewage. If you agree with the Cologuard home test kit, there's a way of modifying that kit to look at the community's stool sample. So we may be able to find folks who are at the early stages of cancer long before they would know about it themselves. So I'm very excited that we brought all these capabilities forward. But I think the reason that we're really interested in making sure that we can work together, in addition to perhaps being on that platform, looking at these viruses, is the fact that Louisville and Calvert City also share some other commonalities. We have many former Superfund sites. In Louisville, we have a major chemical complex that was critical in World War II to produce synthetic rubber. And many of the compounds used in the manufacture of those rubber and other related petroproducts are common to this area too. The School of Medicine has more than a half a century of experience working with these chemicals both for workers and in the residential settings that surround these facilities. And so when we decided to take a look at whether this wastewater platform could be useful as a tool to find exposures to some of these chemicals, we were excited to try to figure that out. And we've spent the last 2.5 years developing methods. I've shared some of the papers with the mayor that we've published that show you how the method works. This is science. It'll never be done. We're just going to keep working on it and trying to improve it. But we are in a position today with your participation and with your community's acceptance to look at combined wastewater. So this isn't anybody's wastewater. This is everybody's wastewater. To look at that wastewater for what we look for are urinary metabolites of breathing in certain compounds. And so your body naturally tries to get rid of these compounds and you excrete it through urine. And so it is a measure of human exposure to those chemicals. I reached out in January to the mayor and to the head of the wastewater facility here to see if there would be interest in providing samples for our projects. We've had many months of back and forth, and the mayor was good enough to invite us in a month ago to discuss, exactly what this project would involve, a little bit about the science, and I'm here tonight to share that with everybody else that this is a research project. It's not a regulatory activity. We're here to see if we can just provide some insights into community exposures. As I've clarified with the mayor, this isn't an occupational setting, so we're not talking about being inside or anywhere related to the facilities themselves. We're just talking about residential sewage samples and residential exposure. So it's my hope, if you're following along, the process is really to look for whether there's technical capability to do this work here. And we've heard early indications that the wastewater facility is able to produce a composite sample, which is what we need in a little bottle once a week. And then it comes to civic leadership and whether there's interest in the community in being part of this research. And if we get positive indications from you all this evening, the next step is to work with the broader community and seek their acceptance, answer their questions before starting such work. That's exactly what we do in Louisville and 6 other communities that we work in. We know that trust is a foundation to this whole process. And I hope you'll see that our presence here tonight is at the minimum a goodwill gesture, but I hope indicative of, really a spirit of partnership and shared learning. So with that, I'll ask for any questions that you might have and hope you get back to your busy agenda.
I do have a question, not really a question. I just want to clarify. So, that's a crazy idea that you can predict high school attendance based on that. That's really good. So, this compare and contrast a little bit between the virus work, which you've got a good handle on, and we were originally asked to participate in that.
That's right.
Okay, and then past that, we've got the research portion you referred to. I just wanted to clarify so we could get a better understanding of how that all is working.
That's right. So the state has financial resources to support the virus surveillance work. And so that is a great place to start everywhere because there are financial resources. So it's we don't imagine that it's free for your people to in the wastewater plant to make samples available to us, and that takes them time. And so the state has facility, resources to help compensate for that. And so that is a great way to start into a conversation. But the crossing over from pathogen surveillance like that, like seasonal flu, over to exposure to chemicals, we're crossing over into a research activity, and that's strictly a research activity. That's right.
Okay.
These Region 6 communities that you worked with on what?
Yeah, so over the years, we've worked with Northern Kentucky, so 2 counties up there. We've been down here at Graves County early on, and then in various times, there's 14 prisons in the state of Kentucky, and we've been in many of those counties episodically, working in a community as well as with prisons.
I think a question I would have is, you know, as a council member, like whenever you do a study like that and you're talking about the chemical side of it.
Yep.
Whenever you have your results and you publish the results, however that gets out to the community, a lot of times you may say words like could cause or can cause, and to a scientist, that may mean nothing. Like, you know, the probability is so low, but that's the word that's still applicable. But whenever people see that, and if they don't really know the, you know, what's going on behind that, they can take that the wrong way. And so you can kind of get unintended results or, you know, stir up some things in the community that are not really founded. So how, as far as you dealing with getting those results out there, like how can you protect against that and get the actual information out there to people?
Yeah, so it's a great observation. This kind of work is never done in isolation. It is always done with other sources of information. So in your community, you have some cancer cases that are associated with some of these chemicals. So that's a data point that's out there right now. I've always viewed this as how much more information lines up in the same direction. So this isn't by itself deterministic completely of anything, but it's part of a bigger picture. And that's exactly what we do in West Louisville, where we have a major petrochemical complex. The wastewater work we do up there is in conjunction with the health department, in conjunction with the hospital system, and in conjunction with some of those employers.
So is there anyone like with your team that is tasked with that, and getting that information out there in a way that's that people, not scientists, but regular people can understand?
So our preference is always to work with the county health department. That's our first preference. And if that's not a possibility in Marshall County, well, we can certainly look for the next best thing. But it's always good to have a trusted source, you know, because we're just researchers from the university, right? So we're, you know, we're not necessarily embedded in the community. We're not necessarily in a position to know about all the other things that may be going on. So it's always helpful to have some kind of health authority. Sometimes it's in the hospital system.
Okay.
It can be a variety of actors who may be trusted with that kind of information.
Okay, thank you.
That's a great question.
This is an indelicate question, but if your research on finding illnesses, if that's, your research is coming from the wastewater, would the illness have already passed through people that you're not?
So that's a great question.
It's over with.
Yeah, no. So in the case of chemical exposures, what you're seeing in the wastewater is not an illness, it's evidence of an exposure. So I mean, and that doesn't mean that the person who's been exposed is sick or is going to be sick. It's just you're now relying on the other information we have about how often people can be exposed to these kind of chemicals before they develop certain kinds of diseases.
So that really wouldn't be.
No. That's right. No, measles is somebody has measles, and that's why, that's exactly. All the viral stuff, if we're finding it, it means there's somebody who's infected. The chemical exposure stuff doesn't mean somebody's sick. It means that somebody has been exposed.
It's
different.
And so in this research, are you looking more for chemical exposure?
Yes. So at this point in time, so when we originally reached out, the state was looking for a variety of communities, large and small. States had budget cuts. And so now their threshold community has to have something like 30,000 residents in it. So that program is no longer funded for smaller communities from the state. So we would now just be, we're funded to focus on these chemical exposures. So that would be the nature of the work that we would do.
So have you already had a study of chemical exposures and you have results and you've reported those already, or is this?
Yeah. So we've worked with samples in the Louisville area. And, you know, collected those samples around Louisville, and then can associate concentrations of certain metabolites with industrial activity in those areas. That's, I mean, the nature of this kind of science is one study doesn't give you definitive information. So this will take a few years to give folks confidence in sort of how it works. So that's why I like to try to unconfuse this isn't a monitoring activity like when the state was here to do their monitoring. That was a quasi-regulatory activity, right? Nobody is using wastewater for that purpose. So we're just trying to use wastewater to determine if there's any evidence of exposure to these chemicals, which could then be associated with other information that might help us understand what role those chemicals could play in some of these diseases.
Would any of those chemicals be, drugs?
No.
Are they separate from?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
no,
Because they're-
yep. We've
there are
been
a lot
asked,
of drugs for the people in.
That's right.
It's either filled in the toilet or they're
Yeah.
needles somewhere, but.
no, that's a great question, and there's work that's done in other parts of the country looking for both legal medications and illegal drugs, and that is just not work that we do. That's not our
So
line
yours
of
more
research.
actually environmental. as far
That's
as-
right. That's right. It's a great question.
You know, you mentioned it earlier, you just plainly stated that we do have some cancers caused by these chemicals. I think that's a great lead in. So this is one thing that you guys seek to do with Calvert City. What are some other things going on? And I don't know who'd be the best one in your party to really talk about that. And this is informational right now. We're really not looking for
Yeah,
any,
yeah.
there's no decisions to be made tonight. This is informational so we can get get questions that we might have answered. And so with that, Dr. K, I'll let it.
Yes. Yeah, my name's Matt Cave. I'm a GI physician gastroenterologist in Louisville, Kentucky with the university. I work with Jewish Hospital and our liver transplant program. I got involved with this type of research about 20 years ago when I was a fellow, based on some of the experiences which were ongoing with industry partners. And we had industry partners with the local chemical manufacturing complex, former BF Goodrich facility that was split into many subsidiaries. And the hemangiosarcoma liver cancers, which were associated with vinyl chloride, were discovered in Louisville, Kentucky. And at that time, they did something that was really innovative, I think, in 50 years ago, is they formed a community, industry, university, government partnership to try to understand the impacts of these exposures, because people were scared. It was kind of like, it was mass hysteria, just like you mentioned, how do people take it the wrong way? And they actually had Senate hearings on these things. Like, am I going to get liver cancer if I use a PVC telephone, with handsets? And so they helped to dispel these, some of these rumors. But anyway, that's how I got into it. I have an undergraduate degree in chemical engineering, never worked as a plant engineer. Perhaps if I did, I might have ended up in Calvert City. I have a chemical engineering degree, and my life might have been different. But I know the engineers can, whatever the regulatory limits are, they're going to meet them, and they just need to know what they're told to meet those. But anyway, I've been doing this for about 20 years, and we've really had a good experience, on both sides, from the community, working with some of the plants and the facilities, because back in the day, many of the workers were scared. And Lark Reynolds on our team, her dad was one of the workers that was at risk for the vinyl chloride related cancer. And so, people of our team have lived it on both sides. We're not out to get anybody. We're not out to paint Calvert City as an unsafe place. And we do have some comparison communities, and I hope and pray, if you allowed us to do some of this research, that we might find that there's nothing. And we're not going to suppress that. We want to be transparent, and that's why we're here. And to get to where you're going, I'm a university professor, so I can be long-winded, I guess. But I am a practicing physician, so I do have other things to do. But to get to the point, what are some of the other things? And so we didn't just stand in your town to pick on Calvert City, to go looking for problems that weren't there. But we do have a mission through this center that you mentioned, the CIEHS, and we do have a community engagement core as part of that center. So that center is a National Institute of Health funded center. There's 20 to 30 of these across the country. I'm deputy director of the center, which is led by Dr. States, and I lead a core that helps to conduct research that interacts with the community engagement core. So Ted's a part of that core. Dr. Huntington Moscos, who's been in the community, leads that core from our nursing school. And so we, and that's another answer to the question of who's going to get these results out. Well, that's the job of the community engagement core. And we've done this before. They've been active in other parts of Western Kentucky. They're residents of Henderson, for example, were concerned about potential forever chemical exposures related to a PFAS recycling plant. And they've been there. We held a town hall meeting, some months ago. This is my third trip down here. We've had kind of 2 town hall type meetings, and at those meetings, we talked to the residents, and we were specifically asked, so we're paid from the grant. Many of our researchers at U of L are paid, and we have a job to do. And the community engagement core job is to interact with the community and find out what the community concerns are in any given community. And we work with many again, and then they bring those back to me and other members of the team, and we try to see what we can do to help. And so our job is for community engagement core is to interact with people and hear what residents' concerns are. And we've had a couple meetings, and I specifically heard people say they were concerned about potential exposures, and we were asked, and we didn't just descend and decide. We don't do that. We were asked to do some exposure assessment studies. They had been studies done in air, but not in water. And so that's why, we engaged Dr. Smith, because he's truly at the cutting edge for that type of work. We were asked to do a health effect study. And so we haven't begun that yet, but we do have an IRB approval to recruit human subjects that consent residents to be to consent for health effects research. We were asked to look into wildlife. I've heard residents claim that there were associations of chemical releases and bird kills. I don't know if that's founded or unfounded, but that's what was reported to me. And I'm just relaying that on to you. We have some unique individuals that are wildlife scientists, kind of the canary in the coal mine, if you will, where the coal workers or whatever miners used to take the canary in the little cage and down in the mine, and if the bird died, they knew there was a problem. So we've had people collecting wildlife to see if there's any health impacts in the wildlife. And so we have also been collecting the wastewater in Livingston County because they were interested. We know that they're a little bit farther away from the sites, but they asked us if they could be a site. So again, we do have a job to do, because we do draw some government money at the university for salary to be responsive to community residents. And so we've done that. But everything that we've done, these areas of research, are things that specific community residents have asked us to do. And, I think, and I've been involved with that from the start. And I think I owe this council an apology for not including you guys earlier, with some of that, because truly, this is meant to be, I think, what I would like to see. If you could tell us to get lost. I mean, that's fine too, because I know we're not the first group that's been here and didn't deliver, but I'm a Kentucky native, so's Ted. We're not going anywhere. We don't have any ill will in our body. We're just trying to help. And again, I do want to apologize for not coming to this council earlier, being fully transparent, to why we're here, why are we doing the things that we're doing. And, that's part of the reason I think that we're here today, is just to be fully transparent.
Would your research have, I hope I didn't.
Oh, no.
I'm good anyway. I would say that there's a big percentage of people who are employed at the chemical complexes that do not live in Columbus.
Mhm.
So, you know, how would that be? I mean, would you take that into consideration? There's some nuances that we, being citizens living here, know about that perhaps you all might not, considering the fact that you look at it on paper and we live it.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a couple that raises question, for occupational studies. I don't know how this, I'm not a sewer scientist like Ted. And I don't know how you're all I don't know how your all sewers work down here, so I don't know if I would assume that some plant workers, if they go to the bathroom at work, that could end up in the sewers, but I don't know how they're plumbed and where it ends up here, but we're not necessarily talking about a residential study, but historically, 50 years ago, when the liver cancer outbreak occurred in Louisville, it was isolated to a specific set of plant workers, and so they did an occupational health study, and that was done in full partnership with the plants, and it actually made a big difference because it led to a regulation called the vinyl chloride standard, which basically has protected workers that were hired after its implementation, and in terms of reducing and probably eliminated this liver cancer. And so some of that came directly from some of this work. And so that was used to help the plant workers, but that's not what we're here talking about today. This was residential, but we have done occupational health studies, and that's something that we would be open to if any of the manufacturers were interested. We have decades long history working with this. We're not out to get anybody. I know that the economy of the city is very intricately linked to the plants, and the plants are meeting the emissions requirements as best they can, or hopefully they are meeting them, and I know they're good people and working hard on that. So I guess I'll end there on that question.
Okay.
But we're happy to.
Yes, here, and it's not your fault, but we are gun shy because we have had people come and it be skeeved. And that shouldn't reflect on you all, it doesn't, but when you're gun shy, you're gun shy.
So there's an amphibian study too. Is that still ongoing?
Correct, yeah.
So we had
yeah,
the- The wildlife was the bird
birds
study.
and amphibians. And
Okay.
so this was actually interesting. I love living in Kentucky, so this is another Kentucky story. So we talked about doing the wildlife research with the birds because we heard people complaining, rightfully or not rightfully so, about the dead birds. But as it turns out, Ted's college roommate is a professor at Murray State and is an amphibian scientist. So we're working with Murray, and we have a Dr. Dada here. Know you guys have a busy agenda. I can talk all night.
Well, I had to prove to you I pay attention in class at the Grand Rivers meeting. So they got the fourth problem.
Yeah,
So
thank you for bringing that up.
Super quick one. Did you guys, one of the topics at the last meeting was getting additional funding for the research portion. Have you guys gotten additional funding?
Yeah, so you want to address that? That's Ted's grant, so application.
The short answer is no. Everything's slowed down a little at NIH, so we'll see. It got a very good score, but things are moving slowly.
okay. Well, I appreciate you guys coming. I really do. It helps to make sure we've got proper information in front of the council.
And I'll leave my
Clarity.
and Ted's too. And again, we're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes, and we want to be fully transparent with what we can and can't do and what our intentions are.
Well, the concerns, and I'll speak for myself, and Dustin kind of alluded to that. We're a small Kentucky community existing in the shadow of a chemical plant, and we have great benefits because of a chemical plant. I don't think there's anyone in the community, or especially in this council, that are willing to sacrifice the community's well-being for any kind of economic impact. I think maybe that, I will say there has been times in history that's probably the case, and I can pretty assuredly say 2025 is not one of those anymore. And so, when you have studies going and how that information is treated and, some of the aftermath, I think I'll call it aftermath of the EPA's air quality study. And there's quite a bit of activity around with various groups that are trolling, looking for something going on and actually soliciting for membership in class action lawsuits and all that. So that's concerning to me, is that when we, if we do the sampling and get further in the research is something I don't think anybody have a problem with. Now, how is that information going to be used? How it's going to be interpreted? How well the community engagement and can get that out there, and so folks can understand. You can't. Science is science, and you have to do the best you can to explain your findings and interpret your findings and present it so we can move forward. I mean, it just blows me away that we can predict what the attendance is going to be in school next week. I mean, that when that started. When you started the efforts, we didn't have that surety. We understand that. So
I want to get back to the fear factor. Because I have a long history in this family. And I've been through, I don't know how many of these studies. I could not tell you, I mean. It's a bazillion. And when somebody's dying of cancer, if that study doesn't produce what they believe to be true, there is no way of remedying what they do in themselves. Down in the late 1980s, when the CDC, through the ASTDR, paid them to do the study. This is epidemiological, this was blood samples, this was testing, we had a control and cavities. That was better than theirs. With the upshoot of it all was, when it came back, on the cancer, that we really were right about the national average. That was not accepted. Was it, Bobby? Was it accepted?
No.
No. It was not accepted because it wasn't cancer. These poor people. Now, I don't want to in any way dismiss it because they were suffering. But at the same time, I have tried several times. I have only limited ability. But I've tried several times to establish just exactly what Calvert City's cancer death rate is between 1947 and now. It should be there somewhere, but apparently it's not. Because we have people come in here and they talk to us about whether a certain plant took over another plant. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with anything? Because all these exposures are here. And don't think that I don't know about it. In my youth, when I was a coon hunter, I have seen creeks run purple. The water in the creeks were purple. So I don't think that we don't believe that things were wrong. They were wrong. Don't think we're ignorant. We know they were wrong. But that was how it was done everywhere in the 60s. In the early 1960s and in the 50s, people were just tickled to death to have a smokestack blowing black smoke in their community because that meant everybody had a job. So things have changed. We're a little smarter now, or actually, in Calvert City, people are a lot smarter, but we're snake bit.
Yeah,
Because we're very snake bit. Because it doesn't seem to matter that you have to be at Calvert City Elementary School every day, 7 days a week for 50-something years to get the level of exposure that they say might be a problem. Well, how many of us? My wife taught for 34 years, and so she wasn't there for every day, 24 hours a day. Let's have parameters that make sense.
Right.
Okay. Please have parameters that make sense.
all right. Well,
People can understand. Put it in cheeseburger language.
Pittsburgh. All right. Okay. So we got anybody before these gentlemen? So we get anybody else have a question or comment for the presenters? Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming down and spending the
Thank
time. Dr. K, Dr. Smith.
It is very interesting.
So, I'm really happy you took the time, and I think you put the stuff out there as best I know, every nook and cranny, and we'll be in contact. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, so visitor and petitioners next on the agenda. We've actually got a yard of the season on the agenda in this position. Would you be game? Have we got a yard of the season?
Here.
They're not here. Okay.
Stay.
They would have been first had I perceived someone being here. Okay.
So the winner this summer, for your season summer, is Carrie and Mike Spissinger. It's at 173 White Oak Lane. They. Yeah, that's who the winner is. They weren't able to come tonight, but they were excited. Mike did say that he is not allowed to mow the yard, that Carrie has to mow the yard. She's very specific about it, and very detailed. And so swing by and look at it. It really is a beautiful yard. But they will not be here, so I'm meeting them tomorrow at 4.
Okay.
To give them the stuff. So
Very good. Okay, so on old business, something that's not on the agenda is a mundane thing. Does anybody want to get loose in a caboose? Has anybody said any conversations about a caboose over the last month when we had the solicitation to donate said vehicle to a museum? Has anybody had any comments? No? Okay.
I'll proceed with I'll talk with Kentucky. We need to do a disposition as well, but.
So you've apparently got one more month and for folks to come up with a plan, a workable plan, because it's a piece of history around here, and this was a railroad community, and come up with a suitable alternative for doing something with that. So other than that, we're going to prepare the stuff to go ahead and donate that to the Kentucky Railway Museum. Is that the right name? Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Railroad.
So you don't need a motion or anything?
No, we'll take care of that in business. We appreciate it, guys.
Sorry.
I understand. These are community related issues that are near and dear to our heart. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Okay, with that, we consider the second reading of the ordinance of 2506, which would be that one to amend section 6 to extend the hours of sale of alcoholic beverages. Would take a motion and a second
I'll make a motion.
to introduce it.
Yes.
Second, not introduce it, but consider the second reading. So
Yes.
we've got a motion and a second to do the second reading.
Okay.
Take us away.
First, I'll address just a little clerical, not really error, but just preference that I had. We had introduced this as 2025-07 as I was working on 2025-06 and 07 at the same time, which is on for new business. And so my preference would just be to have this be 2025-06 because it will be passed first, and then 07 will be considered, which is the one you have in front of you about the street legal speed and the special purpose vehicles. And so, and I just wanted to clear that up for the minutes as well, because it would be referenced as 2025-07 in the minutes from last meeting. So ordinance number 2025-06, an ordinance amending section 6 of ordinance 2015-11 of the Calvert City Code of Ordinance to extend hours for sale of alcoholic beverages. Whereas the city of Calvert City's existing ordinance allows the sale of alcohol from 6 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Sunday. And whereas the city council of the city of Calvert City has determined that extending the sale of buy-to-drink alcohol will support the needs of the patrons of local businesses whose staff are trained in responsible alcohol consumption. And whereas the city council of the city of Calvert City has determined that extending the hours of the sale of buy-to-drink on premises consumption of alcohol to 2 a.m. will not seriously jeopardize the safety of the community. And whereas the city council of the city of Calvert City wishes to extend the hours of sale of buy-to-drink on premises consumption of alcohol from midnight to 2 a.m. Now therefore be it ordained by the city of Calvert City, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that section 6 of ordinance number 2015-11 of the Calvert City Code of Ordinances is amended as follows. Section 6, hours for sale and delivery. A buy-to-drink licensee shall be permitted to sell distilled spirits, wine, and or malt beverages for on-premises consumption Monday through Sunday between the hours of 6 a.m. and 2 a.m. A buy-the-package licensee shall be permitted to sell packaged distilled spirits, wine, and or malt beverages Monday through Sunday between the hours of 6 a.m. and midnight. B, all delivery of alcoholic beverages in the city shall be made between the hours of 6 a.m. and 12 midnight, Monday through Saturday. No delivery shall occur on Sunday. And then section C is omitted in its entirety.
Great job. And with that said, this is the vote to enact it. Correct.
Discuss.
Sure.
I think that we're on the right path to, and I think we're all in agreement that we're working towards doing what's best for, the community in this decision. This is a big amendment. I still have other options I'd like to look at. One being that I've been thinking about a lot is and I have to see how this could work administratively in our city, but kind of a hybrid setup that I see some cities using. Where you, in that case, you would leave it at, say, midnight or whatever you choose, and then offer extended hour permits to, to certain operations that they would apply for yearly. It's usually at the discretion of the ABC administrator, and they would work with the police chief. And an operation in a setup like that would have to meet, a criteria that you set, certain check boxes. And if they don't, then they're 12 o'clock. If they meet the criteria, then they can have an extended license to whatever we chose, 2 or 3. And I think that could work well for all parties involved because, one, I have no doubt that Marshall Yards has their stuff together and that they can handle themselves. But if you set it at 2 o'clock and you have someone come in a year or 2 from now that meets the legal standard, but maybe not to the extent that Marshall Yards is, well, they're in that 2 o'clock bracket too. So, but I feel like you're kind of protecting people that are handling their business by doing a setup like that. I'd like to look a little more into that and maybe figure out if that's an option, so I think that could be a really good, and that would also deal with resident concerns and whatnot.
Do you know other cities that are using this?
There are, yeah, Louisville and there's some others. There's others in Kentucky, several, Covington and some other smaller cities. I'm not sure how well we could handle that. Of course, it would be a little bit more work, depending on how many people was applying to something like that. So, that being said, being that this is not an imminent thing that we have to do right now, I think that it would be a good idea to, I'd like to make a motion to table this ordinance and vote for another meeting and put a little bit more thought into this just to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
You've had feedback that a difference in 2 hours is significant to some people.
I have had quite a bit of feedback.
I've had one person, and I think this person has contacted several council members. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, I think the concern, I hate to speak for someone else, but I think the concern is over the casino itself. More as much as the ordinance that we've just passed. And but that's the only person that I've had. And, I think it's my job to respect all opinions, and I do appreciate the conversation that I had with that person. And I had told him, and I had told one other person that I would take a few days and that I would consider my position on the ordinance that we discussed. And the hardest part of being a council person or a council member is not being able to please everybody. I want to make everybody happy, whether it seems like it sometimes or not.
In most actions we can.
I really do. But that's the hardest part. And then I think the most challenging part is exercising fairness by examining both sides of an issue from an objective point of view. For every person who thinks we're wrong in doing the liquor hours, there's another person that has no problem with it. And we have to try to get a visual to me, of all of that. I really feel like, and we can do whatever, but I really feel like that we ask pertinent questions. We ask questions of the police department. We took caution in what we were doing. We worked for a compromise. And I think we reached a good compromise. And we may not have pleased everyone, but I think we were very fair in what we did. Nobody got everything they wanted. But we did, to me, this hour or 2 hours, I can understand by them having entertainment and things like that, where that they might want it. But if somebody wants to get drunk, they can go to the Quick Pick and buy shaving lotion. People do that. They get that desperate. We can't keep somebody from misbehaving. And, you know, and I just, I don't want to even get into that. But because we make a decision that doesn't please everybody, then I think that sort of means we're doing our job. Because, you know, we shouldn't just serve one, I don't know what to call it, but one section. And so I'm happy with voting on it. And I feel like too, not because it's a casino, but because basically we had the people here and they left thinking we were going to do one thing.
Right.
And I feel like it's not quite right to turn around and do something else. And I do feel like that we mentioned that if this doesn't work out, we can amend the ordinance and go back and change it.
But,
You know.
yeah, that's a good point. So this is my first exposure to this idea. Has merit. And so we've got, is there anybody else wants to talk about the situation? Because we have a motion, I think, to table this ordinance and continue working and trying to do something. So that's a motion. Has anybody else got something to say? Well,
The same person, I think, probably has talked to Juanita and a couple of others also spoke to me. And the one idea that I did not hear us think about before was, and it's kind of a variation of what Dustin's talking about now, but is in fact just leaving the ordinance as is and then taking a look at it after they have been in business doing their thing for a period of time. And then if there were no issues or very few, then we could do what we're talking about doing. And it'd be a lot easier to do that than it would be to go backwards. Or at least I think so, to revert back to where we are now. But I do kind of like what Dustin said about not just passing an ordinance that makes it available to everyone at the beginning, but have them have to jump through some hoops or check some boxes in order to be able to go to those longer hours.
right.
So I think it's
What hoops would
worth
they
our
be?
considering for a
Well,
month.
Before I asked for a second on the
Yeah.
motion to table, I wanted to get some conversation, and I guess proper rules of order would be that we'd have a motion on the motion or a second on the motion to table, and then we would take a vote. So we're having conversation about this, and I haven't checked for a second. And in other words, so we got a motion on the table. Do you want to state your motion?
It's a motion to table the ordinance and vote about the alcohol amendment.
Okay. So that's the crux of the situation, is to table it with expectation there'd be more research done and we'd come up with something different at a later time. So there's the motion to
Or
table.
not, or we don't come up with something.
So do we have a second on the motion to table the ordinance?
I'll second it.
So we got a second. Okay. So we've already had some discussion, and at this point we would have open discussion, but I wanted to let discussion go in case there wasn't a second. Probably bad on my part, but any more discussion on this before Linda calls the roll call on this motion to table?
I guess I'm wanting to know how we would decide the hoops, because that would have to go in.
Well, the ordinance, and I'll let Ashley talk about some. So the ordinance will have to be redrafted. And I haven't done any research or had any kind of look at what kind of structures are already in existence or really know what's possible. So it had to be looked at and reworked. And to answer it, Churchill's already been given an indication and nod that we were okay with too, that this body was okay with too. And this particular change doesn't say that you're going to pull that back, but it maybe change how it is administered moving forward and do that. So,
but would that not
in the sense.
I don't have anything to answer yet until we've had somebody look at it.
But if we also face the possibility that in drawing up those hoops, that there's gonna be somebody out there that says we're giving preference to Marshall Yards.
I've got no doubt that they would.
That's one of my key concerns, Steve. Go ahead.
That they would meet the criteria, but it would be like whatever John, working with the police chief, would come up with. You gotta have this kind of training for your bartenders, this kind of this kind of this. And then at the end of the year, when they reapply,
But they have to have that anyway, right?
well, it could be to beyond the legal extent, is what I'm saying.
I don't know that we can.
And then at the end of the year, you can, at the end of the year, when they reapply, John gets with Chief Cannon and says, you know, what kind of issues we having? Is there any reason not to? Has
Yeah,
there
but-
been
but-
stuff going on there that they need to not have an extended license? Maybe they meet the letter of the law, but they don't meet our standard for issuing that extension.
But if it works out where Marshall Yards gets an extension, there will be people out there that say that we have skewed it to their benefit in this way.
They're saying
It's-
that now.
Well, yeah, I know.
Well, I think the challenge would be to make sure you had the proper list of things and objectives and set up within the confines of the law, so you are not unreasonably giving preference, that they're objective and they're attainable. So getting that set of criteria and getting them where that's the one that I think is probably going to be the struggle legally, is to making sure that equal protection and that they're not geared up to be totally impractical. And I think some of the conversations that have happened in the evolution of alcohol in general and where we've wound up is this body has kind of stayed away from trying to compare and contrast to this one's okay and that one's not. And that's an issue, and that's not an insurmountable issue. Okay. You're right on it. That's going to be making sure that that's done properly. And I think that legally, when I say properly, legally, and it's a bit of a squeeze to make sure that it's okay.
Who's second the motion?
Ralph?
Yeah.
Which communities did you say have this checklist?
Louisville, there's others. I'd have to, well, you can find it or I can get it to you.
If you want me to interject, the only one right now that would be operating after midnight would be Marshall Yard, because everybody else closes by 4, 5 or before midnight.
Are you concerned like bars?
Planning for the future, yeah. So it really may not impact Marshall Yards at all, because I feel like they can handle their business and you know, are gonna be responsible, as they presented to us the last time they were here. It's about you know, future growth and how we want to handle future growth in that area.
But then you'd also have to have someone, am I wrong? You'd have to have someone to check up on them to make sure they were doing what they're doing, supposed to be doing by the permit, right?
Yeah,
It's going to take administrative effort.
it's gonna take more from City Hall. Yeah.
So we got a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on this issue? Anybody else got any questions or something they want to say? Okay. With that said, I think we'll take a roll call vote on the motion to table.
So we actually had, okay,
What was that out of?
no, I don't.
This is the first time I've dealt with.
The table is the one that's up right now.
Yeah.
Voting on whether we're just gonna vote now or table it till then.
If this passes, then the other one stops. If it doesn't pass, then they go back to the vote on
We could do acclamation matter, whether just do the roll call on that. So this is the motion to table,
Okay,
and we got a first and a second. And so do a roll call, vote on whether we table this and work on it more or not.
all right, Councilman Shelton,
Yes.
To
table,
table, okay.
Councilman Howard,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
No.
Councilman Rao,
No.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
and Councilman Stokes.
Oh, wow.
Hi, Gene.
Well, you know, as Dustin alluded, we're not on any real definite time frame. Okay. So this is a night of first. This is a hallmark night. I think it's the intention of the council and to approve the 2 o'clock stay open till time. Okay. And I don't think that's changed. I don't think tabling it and doing more research to see if there's other administrative controls we can do will take away with that. I don't think it'll hurt to delay a month. And actually it'll be 2 months. Or more, because we're gonna have to do some research. I'm hearing myself think, do some research, come back with a report with either a special call or the next meeting, and then maybe do a special call. But I'm gonna go ahead and vote and affirm the table. We'll table it. Okay, we got a split. We don't have splits very often. Okay. So I'll affirm the table and we'll do some homework and we'll get some ideas of what the communities are. And I have a very serious concern, 2 issues, is how much work does that put on administrative and making sure the city can sustain that work. Then the other one is the legality of it and how we set up the objectives peculiar to Calvert City, to how we say, well, you're good, but you're not. That
Yeah.
seems to be a problem to me.
That's what we're doing here. We're all hurt them to pick and choose who can get it if they can.
Well, we're gonna do some research and present it up here and we'll see if there's something we can do or not. Okay? And I think that when I've got 3 council members that are swayed and want to do it, and we don't have a really good time frame, I think that Churchill understands that we support that endeavor and we understand the differences that can make that commercially viable. And the council, I don't see a big shift on that change. I haven't heard one person detract from allowing Churchill at 2 o'clock. Okay. And this is an opportunity to see if we've got some more control to make sure we don't have unintended consequences. And it's going to be interesting to see what it turns out. This is the first I've heard of this, which I'm not particularly fond of, but that's okay. We do our business in public. That's cool. And we'll just see what turns up and then what kind of study and research we can do. I don't know if there's a framework within the state for this, or whether there's examples from other communities that could be a guidance to us. But I think it's worth a look at, and we'll go with that. Okay. There we go.
And everybody still loves everybody.
Well, I mean, again, so I'm gonna vote, and we're gonna table this. We're gonna do some research. We'll either set up a special call, workshop to talk about this, because I think there's valid concerns. Okay, there's valid want tos and there's valid concerns. And so we can look at doing that. That's really where I think we should go, is having a meeting devoted to this issue. And it's going to take just a bit of a squeeze for Ashley and others to get going there.
Well, good
What
night.
were some
Let
of
me,
the smaller communities you were talking about have done this?
Well, we can work on this later. I mean, there's,
I just want to ask one question. I mean, with what John's saying, I don't see the point of having a special call meeting till they get the facts and everything.
absolutely, peace.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, okay.
We're going to have to do some research, and if stuff comes out,
Yeah,
we're in a position where we could do one. We may not be able to make it before the next council meeting, but I do want to reiterate that I think by and large, I think you guys worked very well together getting where we're at. Okay. I think that there were some conversations and some compromises, and we wound at a place I think everybody was comfortable with. And now it's just kind of maybe, it's the concern. I wouldn't call it fear. It's concern about the unknown. How it's just the concern about the unknown. And the alternative to this, and this is really what sways me, is that once you establish a business, you have this level of investment, we need to be sure. I mean, it's already coming, and that's fine. And I've heard this group of 6 people understand the need for 2 and 2 o'clock, and you guys were fine with that. And Churchill was accepting of that. Now, this is something about the concern about where we move forward on that again. Now, if the research shows that it's not very particular way to administrate this, and we wind up, I mean, we've already had the first reading of the ordinance and it's been tabled. We could have the second reading of the ordinance. Okay. So that's another pathway. And it's challenging. Like Nita said, is we set up here and it's sometimes hard decisions. A lot of times thinking about what happens with the caboose is very much pales in comparison to something that can impact the community like this. And I think we should take some time and get it right. And I don't think working on something longer is going to be a problem for getting it right. Okay. So we'll take a look at it and we'll keep in touch and see where we move on from here. Okay. That said, new business. We've got the right ordinance number on new business, right? So 2025-07 is an ordinance amending the squiggly line 7305A to exclude what do you call that symbol? Section, sorry. subsection, to exclude street legal special purpose vehicles. Would somebody like to introduce that, make a motion? To introduce
I'll introduce the ordinance number, whatever,
2507.
2507.
Okay, we got a first and second. Let's introduce it. I guess we'll read it.
Ordinance amendment section 7305A of the Calvert City Code of Ordinance to exclude street legal special purpose vehicles. Whereas the city council of the city of Calvert City has enacted an ordinance to allow street legal special purpose vehicles to be operated on city streets with certain conditions and restrictions. And whereas the definition of all-terrain vehicle is currently defined in section 7305A of the Calvert City Code of Ordinances would include street legal special purpose vehicles. And whereas the city of Calvert City's existing all-terrain vehicle ordinance allows their use under certain limited conditions that would cause confusion concerning the proper usage of street legal special purpose vehicles. And whereas the city council of the city of Calvert City has determined that section 7305A of the Calvert City Code of Ordinances should be amended to state that street legal special purpose vehicles shall not be considered all-terrain vehicles. Now therefore be it ordained by the city of Calvert City, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that section 7305A of the city of Calvert City Code of Ordinances is amended as follows. Section 7305, operation of all-terrain vehicles on city streets. A, for purposes of this section, all-terrain vehicle means any motor vehicle used for recreational off-road use, including but not limited to golf carts. Street legal special purpose vehicles are expressly accepted from the meaning of all-terrain vehicle for purposes of this section, and instead deferred to Calvert City Code of Ordinances 2025-05.
It's got it. Okay. So we got a motion to introduce. We've read it. Any conversation on this? This was the housekeeping that we knew we'd have to do when we adopted the other ordinance. Okay. Want to take a roll call?
Councilwoman Shelton,
Yes.
Councilman Howard,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hale,
Yes.
Councilman Rao, Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Stokes.
Yes.
That's for the first reading.
All right. Thank you for that. Moving right along. John has something to ask of us, of y'all.
You have in front of you a resolution 2025-34. And it is, we are filing for a Delta Regional Authority grant for their fiscal year 25 community infrastructure funding. And this is for the Calvert City water treatment plant burn project to help protect it from flooding. So that is that's what this is, and it just needs a resolution saying that you all agree if that's okay. For us to make that application.
You need a motion? How's this
I
work?
just need a consensus, just.
Yeah, it's
just
fine.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you. That's all you need, Glenn,
How much
correct?
you have in car, how much is the grant? How much is it?
I'd have to go back. It's not on this one. I have to go
Not
back
yet.
and look, but it's chunk. Cause that's a big project. It's close to $1 million project. And we've got, well, I think we're applying for the whole thing. I'd have to go back and look though.
Would you have that information in the morning?
Probably tomorrow sometime. I don't know about it for the morning. I have to go back and look at the exact paperwork sheet that's being done to purchase ad. And so they've got all the paperwork down there at this time. So I have to go back and see exactly. We had to do some amendments to it because this is the second time to apply. And in doing so, of course, costs go up.
It's a needed project and, no matter what the future of that area looks like, it's going to be a major junction in our utility system. So it needs protecting. So thank you for that, everyone. Okay. So, talking about written determination regarding disposition of property. I think I got my cart in front of my horse, but go ahead with that.
Oh, we have, pursuant to KRS 82.083, the city council of Calvert City, Kentucky makes the following written disposition regarding disposition of the property identified below. A 2008 Ford F-350 service truck. That shield service bed was acquired for the use by the street department, has been replaced with a new unit because it's worn out and has engine trouble. Number two, a North Star steel flatbed was acquired for use by the street department. The flatbed is rusted out and has been removed from the truck. 5 handicap accessible picnic tables were acquired by the Parks Department. They were damaged and then they're having, rubber coatings being removed, so we want to get rid of those. 3 metal framed wooden picnic tables, which were acquired from the Parks Department. The wood is worn and no longer safe for use. Those are splintered and other items. These have been replaced with new tables that are more safety compliant. 29 sections of playground surround panel is what they use to hold the material inside the safety area. Were acquired for use in the old park since they've been discolored, they're discolored and damaged. And they've been replaced with all new, but at this time, so we're trying to get rid of those. Gates Omni Ramp 21 hydraulic hose press. Fitting and hose pieces were acquired for the street and water department. The press is in good operational shape, but is no longer economical for them to use it. It's taking up building space that can be used for storage. They want to surplus that. 6 soccer goals acquired by the Parks Department. Goals were taken out of service and replaced by the Soccer Association with new ones. Baseball field drag, which is required for the Parks Department, worn out and has been replaced. Soccer field carbon dioxide liner, which was acquired for the Parks Department. It has not been used in 2 years and has been replaced with a new rechargeable unit that does not use carbon dioxide. Several metal toilet paper dispensers were acquired for the use in the park restrooms. They're still usable, but have been replaced with new dispensers that hold a different type, a larger roll. That has come in handy with new events that we've got. Steel pipe sections for decorative bollards were acquired for parks. They have not been used or were not used in installation, and there's no other use for them, so we're gonna get rid of that. Miscellaneous pieces of metal siding drops were acquired for several Parks Department projects. These are leftovers and are no use for their use. 13 various items or products were acquired for various uses, mostly by the Parks Department and Street Department. They're no longer of use and are damaged or non-functional. These are broken parts, mower blades, damaged street signs and posts, old lighting units, damaged parking lot light pole from the fire department, old usable culverts, damaged trash cans, and miscellaneous scrap metal. It is requested what items could be sold to be sold, and those that cannot be either trash or sold for scrap. What we're asking.
Well, you got anything else?
Can you repeat that?
Repeat that. No, I can.
Okay,
Sorry.
Oh, no,
Here we go.
no, I'd consider saying everybody got it, everybody read it.
We got it.
But I think that, in the meeting, we got time to read that. Okay. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
In the future, we trust.
Okay. Well, the reason okay, fair enough. Fair enough. We got one more disposition that I think is worthy of taking care of in a fair amount of detail. So go ahead, John. We're not gonna read serial numbers.
These are the police department is wanting to dispense or dispose of 8 tasers, and their models, and then two of a different type of taser. At the acquisition, they were used by the police department and are required as duty gear. They are now not serviceable for the police department, but they are wanting to dispose of them by giving them to another governmental agency who does not have tasers. They are in working order, but they would like to donate these to the Marshall County Sheriff's Office. And they've expressed a desire and need for the tasers.
Yes.
But
Apparently they don't have enough of them.
I think it's a number thing. It's just the model and availability of the,
Security.
yeah,
That's our.
so.
They still work, but you can't service them, and we already replaced ours here.
All of ours have been replaced with newer models that do have actually.
So they're
Like
old.
lawyers dance,
KFC Goodwill. Well, hey, listen, all in favor? Anybody opposed? No.
No.
Okay, thank you for that. That gets us through the agenda and gets us down to departmental reports. We'll go with airport first. We always let airport go the last. We'll just, we'll pick him. See, he's not ready yet. He's still thinking about what he's gonna say when he gets up here. Yeah, Tim's gonna come get us.
Well, I just woke up, so. We have so much, I had to write it down. It's good to be back. Thank you for having me. Couple of projects that are going on and actually making progress. The precision approach slope indicator system doesn't fit the acronym, but it's, you know what I mean.
We know what you're talking about.
That is, and the T-hanger project, which is the design phase, are both moving forward, where you will see out at the airport, if you happen by early morning hours, surveyor and geotech. And I think this also will require a wetland determination, so our environmentalists will probably be out there sometime during the end of this month or early September to do all the groundwork and basic work prior to the design, not only for the infrastructure for the T-hanger, but also for the PACI system. So those two projects are moving forward. The airport layout plan is in final editorial review internally to Hanson. We expect that to be distributed to Mr. Ward, Melissa and myself for initial comment before we present it to the sponsor and to the sponsor being the Department of Aviation, and to this illustrious body. Finally, the state of Kentucky, the Kentucky Department of Aviation has reconfigured the process for the issuance of state grants, for project approval and the issuance of state grants. They now have a mirror image of the FAA process in that state projects only, state-funded projects, will be on a separate capital improvement program sheet. And there will be 5 years, just like mirroring the FAA. But it will be for state-only projects. And when we have a state-only project at the airport,
Okay.
Those projects are 100% state funded. They involve no local share. That's all I have. Thanks.
Seems like it's perfectly under control. I'm a little disappointed we didn't use more acronyms though.
Sayonara.
Thank you, Tim. Okay. Chief Davis, you got any report from the fire department?
I am gonna come up there and make you happy.
Well,
Make me happy.
All right.
I'm so happy that you'd like to make me happy.
It makes me happy.
Oh, okay. Well, now he won't,
can hear
now
it.
he'll do that.
What's the problem doing that?
Yeah.
All right,
She writes the checks.
we've had a couple of busy weeks. We had a pretty nasty wreck out on 62 at the interstate. Older gentleman pulled out in front of a camper. Took a pretty good lick. Haven't been able to find out how he got. That is one of the bad things about what we do as a fire department. We never know what happens to people. And then we had the big nasty fire Friday afternoon. That just to be honest with you, kicked our butt. It was an old house. Tongue and groove ceiling with sheetrock over it. We couldn't get to it. The people that went in took chainsaws and cut holes and tried to pull it down, but couldn't get it down. So it had considerable amount of damage. Luckily, we kept it in the attic. We saved a lot of stuff in the living part of the house that they were able to go in and get. The owner had to go to the hospital. He came home. We did have a firefighter go down. He had to spend the night in the hospital. Some of his blood work didn't come back good, but fortunately, everything worked out good. He came home yesterday, went back to work this morning. So,
Good news.
pardon?
Good news.
Yeah, real good news. Pardon me?
Who's the owner of that home? That on 95? Is that the one?
Mike Moss.
Mike Moss. On 95, is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that was,
Is that the former home of Luther Boland?
No, I think it was Miss Annie Madden's house.
Oh, thank you.
I've heard all kinds of names, so I don't.
No, the Boland's house was
Well.
farther out, but
It's next to Gail Hall's house.
yeah,
Real close.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was
We are-
Mabel's grandmother's house.
Sorry.
Sorry. that's-
Oh, you're fine. We're working on a couple of grants. We've got one already turned in. We should know something hopefully sometime this month. Brett's working on another one. He's got to get with Glenda and get some information. So hopefully we'll have some more money coming in that we're gonna need. I don't know anything else unless y'all got a question.
Okay. First time, no questions.
No, but you weren't here last month and I bragged on you all about in immigration, how you all handled the emergency, the health emergency. You all did an amazing
Okay.
job.
Update on the one that was sent to the hospital. She was dehydrated. So
That happens. Hot day.
it's good.
But you all got there quickly. It was amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
Anything else? All right.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Chief. Okay, utilities, we're gonna pick on Dan or Bobby? Bobby, Dan, Bobby, rock, paper, scissors.
Come this way, Dan.
If y'all wouldn't sit on the back row, y'all wouldn't.
Get down deep.
Yeah. I'll take just a minute here. A couple of meetings ago, Ralph asked about the rate study and all, and so we're in the process of looking at that. The mayor and I called Bob Miller with the Rural Water Association. Had a big conversation with him on what we'd like to see, results we'd like to see, parenting, so forth, and he had some good insights in it. He indicated in that, just for y'all's information, and we'll talk about it more later, but that most of the utilities across the state of Kentucky pays for the water and sewer. But the tax money goes for everything else. So the rates usually take care of the utilities. So that'll be one of the things we have to balance as a team group. It's not say that we have to do that, but that's the way most everybody does it. So he is going to put together a quote for us. It's gonna take to get that done. Rough numbers was somewhere in the end of $12,000.
Yep. So, we keep enterprise quality books on utilities and last few years on budgetary has not been real pretty on the utility side of life. We've been making it. And we've been making it on the backs of a lot of different grants, but the grants are for expansions, not for operations. So we're going to take a look at that and make a recommendation. Anything that has to do with dollars has to come through the council, and we own a utility. So we'll look and see where you can come up.
Still working.
How long had it been since the last rate study? 2 years?
23.
Okay.
Three.
Okay. So, and there's,
Is it necessary to do another one if you just got one that's 2 years old, pay $10,000?
Well, we're looking at that. So, part of the cost of that has been defrayed because we paid that before and he didn't expend all those funds. Okay. So again,
He
you're
didn't
paying.
exactly do what he was asked to do the first time either, did he?
Yeah, he did. Yep, he did. He did.
Because I thought it was a comparison with the others.
That was the segment that he didn't finish. But as far as doing a rate study on us, so yes, you're right. I mean, we look to get a better comparison. There's other things besides just water rates that impact
Did we act on that?
profitability.
No.
We know we left the CPI going. So we did the improvement on CPI and that'll impact that we're maybe even further behind. So.
Well, is it with the increase in the garbage, is that going to defer any of the water since it all comes the same?
No,
deal?
the garbage is billed on the water and that's the only way they intersect. So the financing and how that's built in is not through the utility budget, it's through the city budget on the garbage side of life. But there's other things in the city that we do as far as standard practices are different than other communities. That's going to be evaluated too. To look forward for that. So, utilities in the life of the community are critical, and we've had some recent events in the last couple of 3 years in our midst that really show how they can harm a community if utilities are not taken care of financially. So it is important we stay on top of the rates. And, look, I mean, it's one of these things that financial decision of the council, and we own the utilities and we have our budgets and we decide how we're going to proceed. And so this is better information. So, all right. Okay. Bobby, you got anything?
Just a couple of things. I'll probably jinx myself here, but I'm gonna first start off by saying that deep down, I feel like the water system and the sewer system are on the right track. I feel like it's actually gotten stronger with all the continued maintenance that we continued or put in place. Not really continued, but we've started and kept doing. And the equipment that we've installed between, new valves, new flow meters and stuff, I can already, because the water plant has already got 2 new valves installed, and I can already tell a difference in operation. And we've got a flow meter, we've got one of the flow meters installed, and we just need it to start reading. But all that's going to be ready to go for the high service. So it's really looking on track. I'm really to get that going. But on the other side of, we got a little hurdle at the sewer plant still, at the head wall. We're having some problems with some gates in it. So that's set us back about another week or so before we can actually tie in, but we haven't got that done.
So this is the commissioning of the new Headworks facility.
Yes.
Which has been a long dragging project. So that and.
So we finally figured some hurdles on it with the wiring, electrical side, all that's good. Pumps are working like they're supposed to.
Wettest spring on record in the middle of a construction project. That's always helpful. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And, but all we knock now is to, tweak some gates and we should be able to tie them fairly soon on it.
Very good.
That's, I guess, really about it.
Liner replacement.
What's that?
The liners. Yeah, that's a big one.
Well, just looking at it, one other thing on the Headworks is the state did releases.
Oh, yeah.
From the agreed order.
Yeah.
Good news.
Things clean there, so we just gotta finish it up, get it back.
Agreed order closure letter. That is one that is, yeah.
Yeah, but unlike you were saying with the lagoon, we're actually starting to de-sludge now. We've de-watered, and we're starting to dry and take out the sludge. And once that's out, liners can be replaced and move on to the next one.
Where does the sludge go?
We'll take it to the landfill. That's really all I got.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Oh.
Thank you.
Project report or public works? We'll stay in public works. Come on, Brad. Come on up to the microphone. We don't go to the microphone. We don't hear you. And we don't hear you, then Glenda's not happy. We all want Glenda to be happy.
Did y'all finally order something different
Excuse me.
at Cracker Barrel?
Oh, well, we finally got it. Let's see, what's going on? Grass is finally starting to die. All of it done, all the spring,
It's
mow
fine.
grass twice a week. So, we're finally starting to get a few other projects started going. We did, catch basins over on Cedar Street, detention basin there, got those installed last week. We, got some work down here in the park on the shade structure put back up. We're fixing to start on the batting cages, get those back in operation. Got pickleball courts today. Smith wrapped up their portion of the dirt work. So, we will start forming up for our concrete work, the bleacher pads and get that hopefully done this week or first of next week.
Let me add to that while we're on the pickleball, we just do it all at one time. They asked for and have received a change order to extend, they had 54-day rain days during their original contracts, plus the time that we asked them not to start until after the 4th. So they're gonna be, their completion date has been moved out to end of September, 1st of October, right in that area. Part of it is the person that's doing the surfacing has asked for 30 days for that to cure, for the asphalt to cure before they come out and put their portion on. So in that meantime, they're gonna do the fencing, we're gonna do pads for the bleachers, and then the Miracle is supposed to come in and put the canopies up for the bleachers. So a little bit, it's not gonna go idle, but there's gonna be other things done before they put the final coat on it and everything. So just FYI. No,
The lighting is installed and functional now. Of course, as anyone that plays pickleball has figured out, we took the automatic out and put switches on both courts. So now you can turn on whichever court you need, and
please turn them off when you come down.
please turn them off and leave, which nobody has learned that in yet.
Need a hot tub timer. How long does it take for a pickleball match?
15 minutes.
15 minute timer. You gotta send over somebody over in the dark to push the button again.
That'd be worse than what we.
I'm
recorded.
kidding, everybody. No letters to the mayor. I'm just kidding. Levity.
You didn't hear me. I said that'd be more trouble than the ordinance. Everybody's gonna turn the lights
that's
on in 15 minutes.
We, John and I are gonna be working on getting some more of the paving projects. Out for bids here before long, hopefully. I like a little work on Plant Cutoff Road before it'll be ready to put out for bids, but we're gonna do some shouldering on it.
We also gonna pull the asphalt down.
Yeah, I also have to tear out all the asphalt down here around the baseball fields and regrade all of
Oh,
that.
boy.
Yeah, I've got a few things to do.
Yeah, it's flat as a table down there. You get it out of whack, it'll be a problem.
Yeah.
Trying to get it where it'll drain.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand.
The airport, they just come in and done our annual filter change on our fuel system. And inspection, so.
We had
good.
Good.
Field inspection last week, went fairly well, we think. We have got the report back, and then we've got another one. We've got a meeting coming up this week. So.
Trying to work in a little right of way mowing along in between other projects, and we have plenty to do.
Yes, always do. Okay. I got all the city departments. You got anything else? Any questions? Any pet
Just-
projects?
I need to give him a pat on the back because I'm not.
Thanks.
No, we had a little issue at the splash pad that somebody called me about, and I called him on a Friday night about 8:30. Cause John was in Hawaii and I didn't know it. I left John a message. So,
Did he
but
call back? He didn't call back, did you?
no,
Oh,
I
darn.
didn't get it till I hit Denver.
Okay.
that's what I figured. It's probably, but Brad had somebody go take care of it and Friday night never complained and appreciate it.
Good deal. Aimed it.
All right, thank you.
Last and certainly not least, Miss Blair is hiding behind the podium for the mayor. I see this pair of glasses peering up over him. We're gonna have to get a podium shortened or me lengthened. I don't know which.
Oh, me, had it pulled up. So, we had a guided hike on Saturday, and it was awesome. We had 6 people come. Very short notice. Steve Moneymaker messaged me, I want to say like Monday night, and said, I'd like to do a guided hike. Okay, well, let's do it. Hike/ride, depending on who showed up. But anyway, we had 2 bikers and 4 walkers, and me included, and it was so wonderful to be able to hike in Calvert City and have that opportunity.
That's a good one. That's a 5 miles. Did you go all 5 miles?
We did 2.5.
Okay.
So it was good.
Maybe we'll do that again when it's cooler.
Yeah, I
That would
think
be-
that'll be a regular thing.
Oh, that's nice.
Especially because it was all women, and they all expressed that they wanted to go out there, but they didn't want to do it by themselves. So I think there's an opportunity there to make it a little bit. I mean, I traipsed all through there when I was marking off the Thanksgiving trail, but I mean it's a safe place. But yeah, obviously there's a need for that, so I can totally see doing that again. Not to make this last any longer than it needs to be, I'm just gonna run through some dates. Tomorrow is the first day of school. So there's a post that's supposed to go out tonight about, safety, watching kids. They're gonna be back out, walking the streets, sidewalk, streets, whatnot. So just share that on your social media if you can to help get the word out on people that it is back to school tomorrow. We are gonna do at 7 o'clock in the morning. At 7 o'clock in the morning, the school reached out and asked if I could get everybody to go to the school and celebrate when kids comes back. So we've got signs. You can bring pots, pans, whatever you want, just make noise for whenever they come back, come through. It would be awesome. So 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, meet in the lower parking lot of the school to help welcome the elementary school back. I think that's exciting. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout for that. The back to school splash is this Friday. It is from 5 to 7. We have several churches and organizations that are going to set up, hand out free stuff and do some crafts and back to school things. We've got a little van. Crossroads is it's a little van photography van that you can get in and get like a school photo done. So we're gonna do that, and then there's a foam machine and some other fun stuff too.
There's gonna be food.
Food trucks will be there. Yes, so
The yellow
trucks,
umbrella,
that's normal.
that's free, right?
Yellow
Right,
umbrella,
if they
have
advertise
snow
that.
cones, so you can get a free snow cone while you're there too. So that's on Friday from 5 to 7. And if you can help, please come. I'd be happy to put you to work. And then on the lines of Food Truck Friday, trying to plan things that go with Food Truck Friday. So you've got food and you can have another activity. We're gonna do a trivia night on August the 29th, as well as September the 26th. So free to participate. You can come 2 to 6 players. Just come up. We'll have trivia. It's gonna be fun. It's called Brain Blast Trivia. They do trivia all over the place. And it's a lot of fun. So get your group together, play trivia. It starts at 6. Starts at 6 and goes until 7. And that would be on the 26th of August and September 26th.
29th.
We're not the 26th.
That's
Is that
right.
right?
I think it's the 26th.
29th of August.
Yeah, 29th of August, 26th of September. Sorry,
Thank
my
you.
bad. 2 to 6 person team. And then the citywide yard sale is September 4th through the 6th. Benton Partnership is also having a citywide yard sale at the same time. So you will have ample amounts of yard sales to go to. Last year, my mom and I did it via golf cart, and it was so much fun. So much fun. She bought a weed eater, and we rode around with a weed eater the entire time. So, anyway. Then you have the golf cart scavenger hunt. That'll be the last one of the year, September the 12th at 5:30 in Memorial Park. That goes along with Food Truck Friday and that Friday time too. So that's pretty much it.
Always a good time in Calvert City. Okay. All right, this is where we go through and ask council members. Kevin, you got something? Jeremy? Nita?
The signs out on Oak Park, the city signs that, directional signs that say Calvert City Library and all that, that sign's getting really, really faded. I just wanted, didn't the county make those for us or something?
And that's,
Okay.
state made those, the brown signs. State,
Yeah,
I think, made those. So.
We'll see about refurbishment.
let's look at them. I may be wrong. That's,
That's the brown ones are, I think, staying. That whole island is, it's been raining like crazy. So it needs a big brush up. Okay, you got anything else, Nina? Nope.
I'm good.
Ralph? Dustin? No. Okay, all right. And it's that time for the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second, anybody opposed? Nope, we're out of here. Thank you. So much.
We thought probably.
Sure.